Hello, my name is Sunny and today is November 14th, 2014. It's actually Friday and I am going to do a video today. I know I said last week I may not do a video on Friday, but I'm going to try to do it before I go into work. I'm still sick, so I'm going into work a little late, trying to get some rest in before I head in. So I have time to do it right now, so I'm going to do it. And especially because today's the 14th, tomorrow's the 15th, that means it's halfway. I wanted to do something to kind of ramp up for tomorrow, so that's why I wanted to do this video today. I've been a little negative in some of the videos I've made this week, and I want to kind of combat that. I don't like being a negative person. I don't like, just focusing on all the struggles I'm having with this writing, because I'm really enjoying NaNoWriMo this year. It may not seem like it, but I am having a good time, despite all of the troubles that I'm going through. Despite the cold that's trying to hold me down. Despite, life trying to get in the way. And despite the fact that I am still about 6,000 words behind. I'm still having a good time. So today what I wanted to do is inspired by a fellow NaNoWriMo vlogger, Alyssa Williams. She did a video recently where she shared some of her least favorite things that she's written, narration and dialogue, and some of her favorite things that she's written, narration and dialogue, and I really loved that. That was a really great way to kind of see where she's at in her story and her writing. It was really intriguing, and so I thought that might be a nice thing to do today, but because I want to stay positive and I want to lift up this channel a little bit and get it out of the doldrums, I just want to share a couple things that I've written that have made me smile. I've been surprised a few times by some of the things I've been writing, so that's why I wanted to share these things with you today. So in my story I have this king that is, I don't know if that took. So in my story I've got this king that's going crazy. He's like under mind control, and there's two different magical powers that are trying to one's trying to control him one way and the other person is trying to undo the mind control, so he's kind of going crazy. Writing his scenes have been incredibly surprising. There are things that happen just because his character is so unpredictable that happen either in the narration or in his dialogue. I love the voice that happens whenever I write him. I'm not really specifically focusing on making sure the voice is specific to each character. I'm writing in third person limited, so the narration is supposed to be just a little hint of each character's voice, but his comes through the most strong out of all of the characters that I write. So I wrote this scene where the king is in a council meeting or something like that, like a holding court, and he's having to deal with making decisions for various nobles and whatever. And the whole time he's not paying attention. He's focusing on his mistress. He's he's remembering her. She's recently left on a trip, and so he's pining after her. And then at the same time, he's thinking about this war that she's wanting him to do. And then also at the same time, there's the other little voice of the sane mage who's trying to stop all of the craziness going on with the king. So he's got all of this stuff warring in his brain, and he's not paying attention to what the people are saying. And at some point, he's annoyed that they want him to focus on what they're talking about. So here's a short excerpt from that scene. Hopefully it makes sense. There's kind of a lot of background and context, but let's see if it makes sense. It makes me smile anyway. I love it. But what had Lady Faustine said? The war was a fool's errand. This is narration. But what had Lady Faustine said? The war was a fool's errand. Your Highness, there are reports of orcs attacking villages in Thundon. Another of the advisors was speaking now. King Lazar is annoyed by it and blames your forces. Do you have any response we can send him regarding this matter? Tell him to eat a goat. Tell him we are sorry to hear of his misfortune. My forces are well in hand, and as a mere human I cannot account for every stray orc that roams the land. If you would like, I could send a small force to handle the marauders. I think what I like the best about that is just the line of narration that pops in there saying, tell him to eat a goat. Because that's totally what Marius would be thinking. So when that happened, I just left it in. The other thing that made me smile the other day when I wrote it was the mage, Lady Faustine, and the mage's son, Desmond, made a spell. Like they like enchanted an object and they made a spell, and they decided that the best way to let that spell work on the king would be to like probably put it in his chambers and maybe in his bed, so that it could work on him long enough, like because he'd be there the most amount of time or something. So they had to figure out a way to get the spell into his chambers without being without suspicion and without somebody noticing, and so Desmond manages to convince the maid that cleans that room to go in and kind of make out a little bit, and so he's in there with the maid and he's teasing her. He wandered the room, eyeing all the expensive, ornate things that befit a king. He touched the finely carved post of the bed, ran a hand along the bed covers. "What kind of sheets do a king use, I wonder?" he teased her. "Gold." He yanked back the blankets to see plain white sheets. "I suppose kings are men, after all." Marie's gasp turned into a giggle. "Put it back, he mustn't see that we've been here." But that gave him the excuse to put the spell in the bed without really her noticing that he did it. But later on, the king actually finds them out, and there's a bit of a confrontation. He sends the maid on her way. She's done her, whatever. But he decides to have a conversation with Desmond. Desmond wasn't sure if the king would recognize him. It had been so many years since they'd spoken to each other. King Marius sat across from him and handed him the drink. "So, who dared you to shag my maid in my quarters?" "You did," Desmond replied. The king coughed into his cup as he had been about to take a drink. "Well," Desmond amended, "you dared Sigbert as well, and he dared you back, but you were the only one to ever succeed until now." Marius roared with laughter, and it took a moment for him to compose himself. "I barely remember you were there. I was a bit younger, but I don't think you two ever noticed me much." Desmond drank some wine. The king pursed his lips, remembering. I was just amused when that happened. I didn't plan these things out, these stupid little silly lines that they just work themselves in, and I am often surprised when something even remotely amusing happens in my stories, because they're rife with trouble and danger and angst and drama. I don't have much of a funny bone when it comes to writing. I don't think I'm that funny, but they did amuse me, and I thought I would share something positive today, something that might make you smile. We're gearing up for halfway tomorrow. Hopefully I can make it to halfway tomorrow. I'm going to get some more words in tonight. Tonight is dinner and a movie night with my mother, so I will have some time to write. Let me know if there's something that you've written that's amused you. If you're making videos, share it. Send me a link to anything. Leave a comment below about, if there's a funny line that you've written that surprised you. I'd love to see more stuff like that. And it sounds like Alyssa's going to be continually sharing lines from her stories, so I look forward to that too. I might share something else another day. We'll see. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you tomorrow for another update. Halfway celebration. Let's get it going. Get it turned up. I'll see you then. Bye. Now, King Lazar is getting annoyed by it and blames your forces. Oh, fuck that line.